Hello everybody, this is Gregory with 5-Minute Catholic Apologetics, where 5 minutes of your time may get you to the divine. Today we're going to talk about how the Catholic Church is the longest institution of human history. Now before we begin, let's start with a prayer. Nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritui Sancti. Amen. Gloria Patri et Filii et Spiritui Sancto, sicut erat in principio et nunc et semper et seculi seculorum. Amen. All right, so for your history buffs, I would definitely recommend the episode we did on the Crusades and the one we did on slavery. Now, a lot of people who don't know history don't know that the Catholic Church is the longest continuous institution of human history. 2,000 years of unbroken line of the Bishop of Rome. We're at 266 popes. Unbroken line. 2,000 years. Who comes close? I mean, if you aggregate the Roman Republic with the Roman Empire, it lasted 1,000 years, but again, that was not continuous. You had the Roman Republic, and then it was toppled by Augustus, and then you had the Empire. You can maybe look at Japan, has the chrysanthemum throne, and it's the same family for several hundred years, but not 2,000 years, and lots of times they were puppets to the shogunates. There's no institution in the world. And should this be surprising? No, because what does Christ tell Peter in Matthew 16:18? What does he say? I tell you, you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church. Not churches, not denominations, church, and the gates of hell should not prevail against it. And he talks about giving the keys of the kingdom. Later on, he says, what does he tell him when he's ascending? I will be with you until the end of time. So it's not surprising that the church still exists for 2,000 years. You know, we talk about the church fathers, and the reasons I really focus on the early church fathers, I think Saint Bellarmine is the only one that's not from that early 400-year period, is because I'm trying to show continuity, right? That the early saints, the early Christian saints had Catholic beliefs. But even if you look at someone like Augustine was around in the late 4th century. By that point, the Catholic Church had been around for 350 years. And you compare that, and we look back, it was like, well, that was still early church. Well, compared to the history of the United States, that's longer than the United States has existed. That gives you an idea how long the Catholic Church has existed. And have we endured the slings and arrows? Yes, like Hamlet says. Sure, absolutely. Absolutely. You look at the Great Schism of 1054. You look at sackings of Rome. Think about St. Augustine, right? City of God. And later on in the 16th century. 16th century was a time of upheaval. But before that, what do we have? Avignon papacy. Papacy moves to France for almost 100 years. Then you have the Great Schism, where at one time we had 3 popes. We've had tons of anti-popes. 16th century tumult. You have all the Protestant heretics taking souls to hell. But what does God give us in the 16th century? The Jesuits. What did the Jesuits do? Retake a lot of Central Europe. Where else did the Jesuits go? Our Lady of Guadalupe, patron saint of Americas. Is it a coincidence that while the heretics are leaving in Germany, in Holland, in England, we convert 30 million souls in America, where Latin America is still staunchly Catholic, and the Jesuits again were brought. So that's not surprising. And then you look more recently, French Revolution. Pope Pius VII was imprisoned. Pius IX, pretty much held captive in Vatican City during the mid-19th century, during the Masonic-led Mazzini and Cavour in the establishment of the Republic of Italy. And then, of course, in the last 100 years, you have the infiltration of the modernist heresy. So, but through all that, the church still exists. Unbroken line. You can see the first 20 popes right here. Unbroken. Unbroken. Who can say that? Nobody can say that. There's tons of breakaway churches that no longer exist. Nestorianism. Right? The Catharis. A lot of these have been repackaged. I mean, we still have Gnostics, but a lot of these, the 10th Baptist Church on Main Street, that goes out of business. How many of those have gone out of business because it's a business? Catholic Church endures, and you should know them, as Christ says, by their fruit. What is the fruit of the Catholic Church? Bringing souls to Christ. Establishment of the university system, establishment of human rights, establishment of orphanages, and so much more the Catholic Church has brought to the world. So anytime any of you Protestants are feeling the stirring of the Spirit, is the Catholic Church true? It's like, well, why do you believe in purgatory? Why do you believe in this? And just are. A, because the church said so, like the episode we did, and B, because the early Christians did it. And know them by their fruits. The Catholic Church has reaped the biggest fruit in the world, indubitably. And it's been protected by Christ and will continue to be protected by Christ. It is the longest institution of human history. That in itself demonstrates the veracity of the church. And not only that, is its theology has not changed in 2,000 years. Hence, going back to the apostolic fathers, Polycarp, a disciple of John, Clement, Ignatius of Antioch, Justin Martyr, all these guys, we have their writings are Catholic. Cardinal Newman, those who read history cease to be Protestant. Our theology has not changed. Have things evolved? Certainly. Evolution of the Trinity. I mean, you have to glean from sacred oral tradition and from what the Bible has, but that took time. That's why we have the early church councils to figure that out. The discipline of celibate priests, that's a discipline, that's not a dogma, but that took time to develop. But our theology is the same. It has not changed. We've always believed in the real presence of the Eucharist. We've always believed in the intercessions of the saints. We've always believed in the Marian dogma. That was all established early on, and so much more. So again, why do you want to be in one of the schismatic breakaway sects, the 33,000 in the United States, where you yourself will admit that you've church jumped all through your life? Go to the episode, Why Do Protestants Church Jump? This is the true church. 5 years later, they're in another church. This is the true church. Well, what about that first church you were in? Shut up. This is the true church. See, in Orthodoxy, how many breakaway Orthodox sects are there, right? That's what happens when you're not under the unity of the Bishop of Rome. But know them by their fruits. The theology hasn't changed. I know it's hard for Protestants to hear this. There's a lot of cognitive dissonance, and I understand that. But there's a reason why we're the longest institution of human history. It's because we're protected by Christ, and our theology's never changed. God bless the Catholic Church. Can you say that about your church down the street? From whose authority does your church down the street get its authority? And its theology doesn't line up with church history and the church's theology. No. Guys, post in the comments. Let me know if you agree or disagree. Please hit the notification, subscribe, and share button. Share with like-minded people. Until next time, take care. God bless and pray.